Hi there, just read this disclaimer please. How I get 1,000 a year from using the Lifetime ISA. So a quick description of what the Lifetime ISA is. It's basically another ISA. They're convoluting the system with loads of different ISAs. To be honest, I'd rather they just kept it simple and had one ISA. But if they're going to offer things that seem attractive to me, I'll take them. So it's a Lifetime ISA. You can pay in up to £4 a year to a Lifetime ISA, and the government will boost it by 25%, so £1,000, which is a 25. So in essence, a 25% increase. Sorry, I've written it here actually. In essence, a 25% increase is like getting your relief from your basic rate tax. So the basic rate tax is 20%. So that would take £1 down to 80 pence. So, but if you got relief of that 20 pence, that would be taking 80 pence back up to £100, 100 pence, which is a 25% increase. Isn't maths fun? So that's why it's a 25% increase, even though the basic rate tax is 20%. It's just the way the maths works out. So they'll boost £4,000 to £5,000. Now, that's similar to what a pension does. Normally, a Lifetime ISA is to either be used to buy a home, your first home only, or to take at the age of 60 for retirement. So you can't, and if you take the money early, you can take the money early, but there's a penalty. So as you can see here, each year you can add £4,000. The government boosts it to £5,000, but then there's a penalty. I think they've written it here somewhere. Withdrawing money, you'll pay a 25% charge if you withdraw cash or assets for any other reason than these 3 reasons: buying a home, being 60 or over, or terminally ill. But again, as the reverse happens, so even it may seem like you're not losing out because they're adding 25% and they're subtracting 25%. Sorry if I'm patronising people who already know this. Most people probably would already know it if they're interested in my videos, but I'll say it anyway. You might think that it's going to equal out to 0, but it doesn't, because once they've added 25% and then they subtract 25% from the higher value, they're subtracting 25% from 1.25 instead of 1. So it actually works out as you losing 250 quid of the original £4,000 you put in. So it's actually a 6.25% penalty if you want to take the money out for any other reason. Sorry, something I should have mentioned is the £4,000 you pay into the LISA is actually subtracted from your ISA allowance each year. So actually all I can contribute is £16,000 to my ISA and £4,000 to my LISA. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention is you can only pay into the LISA up until you get to the age of 50, and then it has another 10 years of growing or falling in value until you're 60, and then you can start taking out from it. So obviously, for most of my life, I've been thinking, no, I don't want to pay anything into them because I don't want to wait until I'm 50 or 60, sorry, or 55 for the SIP. But actually, I've rethought that, because actually, all I have to do is, when I get the bonus of the £1,000, I can do, well, for the £4,000 that I put in of my own money, I can do exactly the same as I do with the ISA. I can sell outside of the ISA, non-ISA, so sell something from there, buy it in the ISA, and take the money out of here, out of the non-ISA accounts. So I can do exactly the same for the ISA. So the money I put in, the £4,000 I put in, I can do that, exactly the same as with the ISA. And then for the £1,000, so as you can see here, I opened the ISA account with 100 quid. A few days later, I got the 3,900 and topped up the full 4,000. I then bought £3,980 worth of Polar Capital Global Insurance. I left £20 in cash for the fees that Hargreaves Lansdown will take. Very annoying. I hate the fact I have to do that with Hargreaves Lansdown. It's really awkward. It's not so much the cost, it's the awkwardness of it. And then I also simultaneously sold Polar Capital these are the transactions that relate to it from my two accounts. This is the so these are the LISA account transactions, and these are the share account transactions. And as you can see, I simultaneously, as I bought that amount of Polar Capital Insurance inside the ISA, I also sold the exact same amount, sorry, wrong line, outside of the ISA. I then paid myself, outside of the ISA, paid myself the £4,000 that I'd paid into the ISA. So I paid £4,000 in there, paid £4,000 out there. And then a few weeks later, it says it takes between 4 and 8 weeks, the lifetime ISA bonus showed up. So I got £1,000 from the government there. Obviously, it all got bundled together, even though they were paid in two different dates. Obviously, it got all bundled together, and I got the full £1,000 in one transaction. So then, obviously, I just do the same thing. Although here there's just one buy. Sorry, there's a buy here, as before, and a sell here, as before. So the number of units of the fund I own stays the same. And I can then pay myself the £1,000 that was in the share account. So I've got the bonus from them. I can actually take that £1,000 now, rather than waiting until I'm 50. So at the moment, I'm just putting all my momentum stuff in there. I don't know if that'll change over time. We'll have to see. And I don't know if I'll transfer this out to another provider at some point. Really not sure. Anyway, but that shows that you don't have to wait till you're 60 to gain the benefits from this LISA. I'm gaining the benefits of it now. It's just that I'm keeping a big portion of my, eventually a portion of my portfolio will be kind of locked away from me. But that's the risk I'm going to take. Now I could have done the same thing with a SIP, but I actually don't have a SIP. I don't have any pensions. I've never wanted them, and I've also never really worked anywhere very long. I've always spitted around. You know, I've always moved from job to job, and I was self-employed for quite a while of it, and I just never got a SIP because I never wanted to wait until I was 55 to work. So I haven't got one. So I don't want the faff, because you can do, if you're not earning any income from a job, you can add up to 2,880 into your SIP and get it boosted to 3,600. It's the same 25% increase. But then I looked into SIPs, and opening one now just for this is, I think, way too much. It's too much admin, it's too much faffing around. And also, I looked into, I can't remember whose this is, but this is my estimate of some other charges that the SIP would have cost me to do it. So it would have eaten into the gains of going, well, I don't even know what the difference is there. 3,600 minus 2,000, what was it? 880, so £720 a year. I'd probably still be better off if I did that, but it's just one extra step of faff that I didn't fancy. I mean, I would have been able to get into the SIP earlier at age 55 instead of 60. So anyway, so I mean, the only reason that this wouldn't work out is if it was taking too much money out of my non-LISA accounts. But so long as I've got enough money in the other accounts, the ISA and the share and dealing accounts, this is fine. But because it's only £4,000 a year, I could go till 43. I'm not going to give away how old I am. That's why I've put all the ages in. I'm not necessarily going to be 60 in 1943. I could go to 1943 if I got to age 50 at 1943. I'd have only added 96 grand in there, so I still would have plenty in the other two accounts. I've got this much to play with at the moment, minus a few grand. And then when I get to age 60, I can actually use it.